Good day all. So what? I'm remaking Surah 5 video into one video, right? Because my videos were cut because of limited space on my phone, right? So we are going forward, Surah 5. 1. Refrain from the consumption of certain foods. Refraining from the consumption of certain foods, right? We're talking about reducing meat on your plate. That's 1, right? And you can research what the Prophet ate, how often he ate it, and it suggests a what? Gradual elimination of violence upon his plate. And as people who follow his guidance, we should be adopting these practices as well, right? 2. Establish prayer, give charity, believe in God, and great will be your reward. It is said in the book, right? Establish prayer, meaning that what? That the suggestion or the guidance was to what? Connect with God at least 5 times a day. Pray at least 5 times a day, right? As a means of remembrance of your Creator, remembrance of Allah, remembrance of your Creator, right? Know that messengers were sent, stories were related prior to you, right? Messengers were sent and stories were related prior to you, right? And I made the point just now that after the coming of Prophet Muhammad, no other religion is acceptable to Allah, right? Messengers are of good tidings and warners, right? Messengers are of good tidings and warners, so they are not people to be feared, they are not people to be afraid of, they are not people to run from, they are not people to isolate from, right? Messengers are nothing but good tidings, right? Who bring guidance, tidings, and also warn populations of what is to come if people continue their same habitual patterns, right? Good. So God is witness to everything you have been shown, right? So if a revelation have come to you, right? If a revelation have come to you, and several revelations in fact have come to you, more than one, several have come to you all at the same time, right? God is in fact witness to all that has happened, right? Refrain from committing excesses in religion, right? Meaning that do not make religion the forefront, because God wants you to, Allah wants you to integrate your spiritual life into your what? Family life, right? God wants you to what? Not leave your family and go and help out every other family on the face of the planet, but wants you to what? Help your own family, right? Integrate your spiritual practices with your religious, with your family life, right? So that I mentioned before, right? And this is what Islam is, right? I mentioned before this whole concept about this Jesus leaving home to go all over the place, right? To go all over the place. If you're going somewhere, you go on a vacation, you travel on a family vacation. But the stupidity, right, about Jesus leaving home to go all over the place to preach all kind of thing, right? And a family home suffering is a very stupid belief system, right? It is a ridiculous belief system, right? So that's dead, right? So refrain from committing excesses in all sorts of ways, right? And this also referring to people who are high-level business people. You leave your family home, you have wife, you have kids, you leave these people home, you leave your people closest to you home, you go in your high-level meetings, eat, drink, whatever you want in your high-level places, right? And leave your family home, your wife, your kids, whoever at home. And it could be vice versa as well in this modern age, right? You leave your partners at home, right? Your children at home, and you go to live the high life. Right? All of these things are what Allah is seeking to revolutionize, the change, right? To bring back the family as your what? Focal point, right? Good. So refrain from committing excess in these kinds of behaviors, right? You have extramarital business partners and so on, extramarital affairs. That's a way of the world now. And that is why it is said that after the coming of Prophet Muhammad, no other religion, including government, including corporate society, including establishment, capitalism, nothing, right? None of these things will be acceptable in the eyes of Allah after the coming of Prophet Muhammad, right? Because God actually knows what is taking place in all these high-level organizations, institutions, right? Even in religion and spirituality, right? Good. So once as we get that clear, right? Cooperate in righteousness and piety, humility, right? Rather than sin and aggression. Prohibited to you, and this is for to whom it may apply, right? To whom it may apply, right? Prohibited to you are dead animals, blood, flesh of swine, and that which has been dedicated to other than Allah, right, or other than God, right? Good foods have been made lawful for you by nature, by the Creator. Refrain from committing sexual activity outside of your relationship or marriage, right? God does not intend difficulty for you, but ease, and intends to purify and complete His favor upon you, that you may be grateful. Be firm, persistent, and never mind others' hatred towards you, right? For those who believe and do righteous deeds, there is in fact forgiveness and a great reward. Extend favor rather than extending your hand in aggression, right? So I put in brackets here that there is situational, because if somebody step on you and you're a righteous person, you're not doing anything else, it's your responsibility to respond accordingly, right? Establish prayer, give charity, do your duty, and you will be removed from your misdeeds, meaning that change your behavior. Do good deeds as of now to compensate for the past things that you've done wrong, right? Where possible, overlook the misdeeds of others and refrain from unnecessarily judging, right? Pursue ways of peace. Where possible, bring people out of the dark situations that they might be in, right? Dark situations that they may in, and whatever aspect of the world this relates to, and bring them out, help to bring people out and back into the light, right? So know that messengers, prophets are but what? Humans, which God has created, right? Humans, right? Born out of what? I would say mother and father, right? But they are, right? They are, messengers are, but they follow the guidance which God has laid down, right? Following the guidance which God has laid down, right? To God is the final destination, to Allah is the final destination, right? Remember the favor of Allah upon your life, right? Remember the favor of Allah upon your life, right? This is in terms of if you have security, well-being, and your integrity. I made the point that integrity is the most important of these things, right? Refrain from intentionally trying to control anyone, right? Refrain from intentionally trying to control anyone. And I made the point that this relates to, in an interpersonal situation, family, friendships, right? Or it can also apply to establishments, right? Right? Having people be disciplined and do the right thing and so on is different from actually trying to using your human authority to control, or to want to control, or to desire control, right? So trust in the higher power. There is a higher power above you, above us all, right? Assist others, at least one person, in attaining a righteous goal, right? Seek to become nearer to God, right? Refrain from intending misbelief and misconceptions, right? Refrain from doing these things, right? Know that life is a test. Since we know ourselves, in fact, life is a test. We are always seeing life as a test, right? It is one of the ways that could help us to get out of certain situations, right? You see life as a test. If you're in a difficult situation, hey, what can I do? How can I get out of this, right? Seeing life in this way can assist you in helping you to get out of certain situations, right? Refrain from being tempted back into whatever ways of life that you would have left or was guided away from, right? Sit with yourself that you may assist yourself in overcoming your hypocrisy, right? So we want to create a situation where you actually walk the walk and not just talk the talk, right? Remain humble in your endeavors wherever you go in life, whatever situation you reach, right? Whatever situation you may reach or ascend to, maintain your humility, right? Know that God or Allah is your ally, right? It is okay. I made a note here because it has a point in the book about ridiculing religion and so on, right? So I did make the point that I always like jokes, right? I always like jokes and stuff about religion generally and so on, like a lot of us, right? And this may have offended a lot of people in life, right? I have nothing to apologize for regarding that, right? In terms of making joke, because I never make joke about one religion. I joke about all religions, right? But there are certain principles that people hold that I'd really play with, and I made a point. I'd really, if I know something is genuinely your principle, right, I wouldn't laugh at that or make fun of that, right? So it is said that God will extinguish any war of fire waged against you, right? Convey the message that was revealed to you. The message is what? That Jesus Christ was not but a human being, right? And there were others who came before him, right? It is God who is all hearing and knowing. Remain sound in your walk, right? Humans, right? I made the point about Jesus Christ being a human, right? So Jesus being a human, right, means that he required what? Sustenance, food to survive, right? Sustenance, food to survive, right? Aspire that God admit you into paradise. Now, paradise could be on earth, paradise could be in your heart, paradise could be on your home, right? Whatever that paradise is, right? Aspire that God admit you into paradise, which could very well mean into your own heart, right? Aspire that you be admitted into your own heart, because some of us live in a way that's far removed from our own heart, right? Right, refrain from toxicants, gambling, other forms of divination, blood sacrifices, and so on. Right? Right. So there's not blame upon anyone who do righteousness presently, regarding of what was committed in the past. Now this relates to you must change your behavior, right? If you want to be blameless for your past, you must there's a chance, there's a second beginning, there's a new beginning, right? You face a little bit of consequence and it change your behavior, right? You do present deeds, good deeds that will compensate for your past misdeeds, right? This is what this means, right? You will be tested whilst here on earth, right? God knows what to reveal and conceal, right? Refrain from asking. This is a point here. Refrain from asking about things that if you know will distress you if you find out, right? And I made the point that certain things I would like to know, right? There are certain things that we all would like to know, truths that we all would like to know, right? And some of us prefer truth, being in the light of truth, than in being in ignorance about a particular situation, right? Some of us would rather to know what truth is than being in the darkness about particular situations, right? But the reality is, if that truth comes to us, we have to know, we have to be strong enough to accept certain truths. We have to be strong enough in ourselves, strong-willed enough to accept, or to say, hey, if I find out this, I wouldn't go get depressed and go take my own life, or get depressed and go into depression for the rest of my life, right? So is to build your will to the point that, hey, if truth were to come to you about a particular situation, you would know that you are strong enough to handle it, right? But if you know that certain things, well, people say ignorance is bliss. I think it's still not. Ignorance is not bliss, right? Regardless if you are depressed after knowing the truth is still the truth, right? Right, when you have been guided, those who have strayed from their path will not harm you, right? Know that you are in fact responsible quite a bit for your actions. So try and take responsibility for some of the things, right, that you do, right? To God is your return, and you will be informed, and you will remember, you will recall the things that you used to do, right? Remember the favor of God and the fact that you were supported with pure spirit, right? The truthful, those who are truthful will benefit from their truthfulness, right? Know that when you continue on this righteous path, that God will be pleased with you, right? God will be happy with you, right? God will be talking about the general God, not your parents, not your family, not your friends, not your favorite prophet, not your favorite YouTube teacher, right? When you do righteous deeds, because the fact is, when you're on this walk, right, all of these people, in fact, would have some kind of beef against you, will have some kind of something against you, right? So you're talking about giving God a happiness, right? Not any and everybody, right? Any and everybody have their place, right? Like I was saying, that religion is not the forefront of your life, right? Any and everybody have their place, right? Anything you do in this life, somebody going to be vexed with you for, right? So it is to harmonize, bring balance, balance to self, bring balance to society, right? See you all in the next video, right? Which might be today or might be tomorrow.